Unlucky Rangers, 3 in a row. Sorry, it's VGC, the video game podcast with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, and Ethan Lawrence. This week, the reviews we got wrong, Square Enix struggles, and Celtic are champions again. But first, how are we doing, folks? Ethan, happy St. Brendan's Day. How are you?
Very well. I was told to come on this podcast wearing a green top.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed that was football related, and I did have to, this is how much I know about football. I had to Google which one of the green ones.
Well, congratulations, Hibs.
Congratulations, Hibernian, a record 12 titles in 13 years. Ethan, I thought you were part of the Green Brigade. I thought you were there every weekend, shouting and swearing.
Literally, what I know about football could be written on the back of a postage stamp with room to spare.
And you know what the back of that postage stamp says? Glasgow Celtic champions. That's all it needs to say.
It's funny. It's interesting how Ethan doesn't know a lot about Scottish football. Yet he's also a well-known bigot. So,
that's for entirely separate reasons.
Yeah, come on. Don't ask a lady's age or Ethan Lawrence why he's a bigot. Those are the cardinal rules. Oh, it's nice to have you back, Ethan.
It's good to be back.
You've had a shave. You've cut your hair. You're a man that already looked younger than your years, but you look even younger now.
Yeah, I feel better for it as well. I was shedding that winter coat.
Yeah,
and now it's raining heavily, so that was worth it, wasn't it? But you know, I'm feeling trim, feeling good, feeling nice.
Good. For those unaware, earlier this week, Ethan had a slight viral success about his future as an actor. Now, was that because we bullied you so much about being an actor? Is that what triggered this crisis?
Oh, here's the thing. Like, it's a confluence of things, right? And I'm not going to say that it didn't contribute, because the pair of you are horrendous bullies, nasty people. Like, you're going to hell. You're going to hell in a handcart, and you deserve it, frankly.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we don't have to get into it, but it was too many bad days in a row. And
go and watch the video. The video is very good. It's very well explained. I was raging. I was really hoping for something to come up that I could text you and be like, ha ha ha. But it was actually, what's your TikTok for those?
It's Ethan D. Lawrence. It's the one with over 500,000 views. No, it's basically just like unedited 4 minutes me talking about the industry and how bad it's all going. And I hoped it was even-handed. I didn't plan any of it. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't expect it to do anything, but it seemed to really resonate with people. And like, you know, not just people being nice about, you know, the stuff that I've done, but also people sharing their stories from the creative industry about how tough it is out there, not just actors, but crew as well. There was a devastating story about a lighting engineer who's been working in the business for over 30 years and he's quitting because he can't afford to keep going. And it's sad, and we should protect our creative industries. And hopefully this is the start of a sea change. I'm going to become an advocate for my industry or something. I don't know.
Here's a tip, Ethan. Why don't you become a games journalist? If you want career stability, come on over. Become a games journalist.
This is where the money is.
I've heard that. I've heard that especially. I've heard that Andy pays you £100 an hour.
Oh,
listen,
mate, £100 an hour.
On a bad day.
Yeah. And that's on top of whatever Microsoft and Sony pays us. Chris, how are you on this fine Thursday afternoon?
I'm doing good. If I drank, I would be hungover. But
Yeah.
as I'm teetotal, I just have the euphoria and not much else.
High on life.
Exactly. Yeah, very very happy man today. Very relaxed. Other than like I tried to do an Ethan and get a haircut. But my local, which I've used since the university days, wasn't answering the phone. So either just nobody answered the phone, or in my head now it's shut down forever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to get my haircut. So
why don't you just get the old
the
full wood, as they call it?
I know I like to give the impression that my hand-eye coordination is top-notch, but in reality it doesn't play out in real life.
Oh mate, there's so many videos on my phone of me just checking the back of my head to make sure I've not just got a random like streak of hair.
It's slightly different for you because it has to be you know you've done it right when there's no hair there.
Yeah.
Like I've still got a semblance of a shape to maintain here.
You've got like a power wash simulator style light up.
Exactly. when he shaves his head until it goes ding, he blows, then he knows that it's done.
Okay, before we get into the usual nonsense, we have a point of order. This is the last ever VGC, the video game podcast. That will be released on a Thursday. normal podcast, because I mean, I'm sure we'll do bonus ones. But from next week, the VGC Video Game Podcast will come to you on a Friday as it currently stands. We record this podcast on a Thursday afternoon. You get it about Thursday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It depends what happens. From Friday, we're going to record it first thing on a Friday morning and get that out to you in the afternoon. Chris, what do you think of this momentous news? Friday's the new Thursday, I've heard.
I'm delighted by the news, particularly because on Thursdays I don't work on Thursday mornings. yeah, I come in to do the podcast but also it's useful in terms of there are occasions where we'll record on a Thursday and then big news breaks on a Thursday night. And we've got a whole week until we have to cover it again. It's very rare that anything big happens on a Friday.
Brother, as someone who does weekend news shifts, nothing happens on a Friday, nothing happens on a Saturday.
So it makes sense to move to a Friday anyway, because we can make sure we definitely cover everything that happened that week that was big. And because often you occasionally get like a presentation on a Thursday night as well, as I well know as the only one who's on Thursday nights, and then suddenly say, "Oh, here's the next state of play if you're interested." Oh, thanks. It makes sense that it makes sense for me for on an hours basis, and it makes sense for the listener on a covering every angle basis. I think.
Every blade of grass. Speaking of, there's going to be a huge uptick in the amount I complain because I play 7-a-sides every Thursday evening, so every Friday morning I'm going to be absolutely Christopher Reeved, and I will make that quite clear. It's not too soon. That was about 40 years ago.
I know. I'm just thinking it could have been a better reference.
Christopher Reeve was an amazing centre back. What are you talking about?
Well, he was till a point.
Yeah. Look what I fucking did to my arm. Look at this. For audio listeners,
exactly the same. It's a comparable injury.
A horse got me. For audio listeners, there's a massive gash on my arm, not for the first time.
It's
anyway,
a tiny scab. I
know. It's like I couldn't even see it.
Yeah, well,
just pointing at a bare arm as far as I could tell.
I'll point at my bare arse any more of it. VGC podcast now on Friday. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast with what this podcast is known for. Chris, you have a drink review for us.
I have another drink review. So last week I reviewed the G Fuel limited edition Friday the 13th.
And I've been inundated with free cans of that since our glowing review.
Bet you have.
Yeah.
It was poor at best. But this week we are very big on objectivity here on VGC and covering both sides of the story. So today we're doing the G Fuel Dream Demon Elm Street drink.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to the Jason one, you need to do the Freddy one. Just for, and again, game-changing energy. It claims it offers the same. It boasts exactly the same properties as its predecessor. As its partner. Yeah. In that it offers game-changing energy, focus, endurance, immunity. Not sure they can prove that. And mood. So if nothing else, if I drink this entirely, then I will be immune to all cancers. I'm assuming that's what it said. That's what it means.
You won't need a COVID booster this winter.
No.
As if we've taken them already. You think? Come on, we're not listening to that crap.
Here's the open.
Oh, it's
the previous one was clear, which was never a good sign. This one is.
He's going to pour it all over himself.
Clear
again.
It's as clear as a bell.
That's just going to be the same drink with a different.
Probably is. But okay, we'll see. I'm getting Swizzles like
the sweetie
refresher style sweeties.
Okay.
Vibe from it, but it might not be that good.
He's taking a drink. Chris Scullion is imbibing
taking a
the Freddy Krueger. Chris Scullion swallows, and the review is.
It's that kind of weird medicine-y taste.
Okay, good.
It's not the same taste,
but
it's close enough that I still dislike it. So my love for the horror genre will remain like unchanged. In particular, the slashers, but G Fuel are certainly not paying them the tribute, the respect with these weak-ass imbibements.
Okay.
So next week, pour both into the same glass, and we've got Freddy X Jason. See how that is.
Yep. Exactly.
Come on now.
I'm waiting for the Rockstar Hellraiser drink to come out and then complete the set.
Before anything else, I also have an energy drink review. Vimpito Energy Zero, which the can claims since 1908. So your granny was drinking Vimpito Energy Zero. Let's get
That's
that.
quite the claim.
I mean, it instantly smells like Vimto. That's really what you're
This
after.
is going to be one of these ones where it's basically Vimto plus Red Bull in it.
Chris Scullion, you've always had an eye for these things, and let me tell you, you have nailed it. It is Vimto plus Red Bull. It's quite nice. There's nothing on the side about it being for anarchists and all this nonsense.
It sounds like it's for pensioners.
Yeah, natural caffeine with real fruit juice, and Vimto is a registered trademark of Nichols PLC. So,
what's the real fruit juice? I'm questioning that right away. That's a
mixed fruit juice from concentrate, grape, blackcurrant, and raspberry.
So it's from concentrate, so not real
it's
fruit.
not real fruit juice. Yeah, that's been processed.
It
within
says
an inch of its life.
Look, it says it's got carrot in it. So what are you complaining about? It's got natural caffeine, and it's got various acids that have code names rather than the real names.
I don't trust anything that's got carrots in it, especially. But anyway.
Certainly can't trust anything orange on this podcast. Story number 1: Rockstar co-founder
dancing on the line.
Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser's new studio is making an open world game. Absurd Ventures, which is a quote-unquote transmedia company from Rockstar co-founder.
Right,
I know
sorry.
the woke are taking over.
Never mind.
Dan Houser. They're planning to make an open world action adventure game. They're based in Santa Monica, and a job listing wants them to. Ethan, can you read this quote section for me here that I just highlighted? Starts with "Become." Give me your best voice for it.
Right, here we go. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're doing it. So you want what sort of thing do you want from me?
You are kind of almost like a Scientologist. Like, you're wearing a nice suit. You're advocating for Absurd Ventures.
Okay.
As opposed to the HR worker who clearly just wrote it.
Become the primary vision holder and hands-on contributor for character, controls, and camera design in an open-world action-adventure game. The person in this role will lead a team of multidisciplinary specialists to deliver the best-in-class combat and third-person action across multiple game modes.
Yeah, that's a 9 out of 10 right there.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. I can hear the little kind of soft Enya music in the background of that speech. It's like,
have I convinced you to sign up?
Yeah, I'm actually starting there next week. This is my last podcast, and Tom Ivan's going to be the host going forward, so we're all looking forward to that.
Finally.
Chris,
hello.
How many people are they going to need to hire? How big a studio they're going to have to build to make an open world action adventure game? What's the score here?
I think you'll find it's called Absurd Ventures for a reason. A bit of satire there.
Yeah,
I don't know. At least 100. At least 100 people. It'll. I don't know. It's always difficult when we cover these things because we've done quite a few of these now, especially. Especially because there've been loads of people creating NetEase studios like in the past couple of years. It's like, every week for a while it seemed like, and here's some more veterans who made some other game have now launched a new studio, and you're like, okay. It's weird covering these because until we actually see anything from them, it's like it's complete guesswork as to what we're going to get. We don't even know if they'll get as far as actually releasing anything. The arse could fall out after 9 months. So for now, they've obviously got Dan Houser at the helm, so they've got experience there. They've got someone who knows how to work on a industry best game. It's just, are they going to manage it? It's, I don't know. We'll see. They're talking about bringing out a graphic novel and an audio fiction series and all this kind of stuff as well. Bringing those out first, and it's like that's a gamble because if people don't engage with the book or the audio book, then are they going to assume that we have to know about those to enjoy the game properly? Or
it worked so well for Quantum Break.
It certainly did. What a game!
Jordan looks like he doesn't remember that at all.
Wait, no, Quantum Break was.
I was right.
Is that the David Cage thing?
Quantum Break was the one with your best buddies. The precursor to like.
Oh yeah, it's the Remedy one that everyone goes.
It's the game that was also a TV show.
Max Payne, Alan Wake, Control, Quantum Break.
Tell you why nobody liked Quantum Break, because it was on Xbox. In the industry's anti-Xbox. Quantum Break was fine. It was when it stopped and turned into, like, gave you a 20-minute TV episode live action and broke up the scene a bit. That's what kind of put me off it. But I fully enjoyed the game.
It's the only Remedy game I've not played.
It's good.
Because it's on Xbox.
I recommend it.
And I've only got 4 Xboxes, so I might find the time.
That's true.
5 if you count the Xbox that I bought my father, because I thought it was such a good wee console. But
still is.
I hate Xboxes. Yeah.
Still is.
R.I.P. the Xbox. We'll get there. I spoke to Jake Solomon recently, interview on the site, and he was like, 2 years ago, if you were an art director at Riot, you could sneeze and get £10 million seed funding. It is not that anymore. So how many of these games will there's a great VGC feature in like 5 years, how many of these games actually came out.
Yeah.
If you could get working on that now, Chris, I'd appreciate it.
I'm doing a podcast just now, but I'll see.
Okay. We'll call you back from duty when another Nintendo shop gets dragged offline, and you have to do. Here are the 42 games no human being on earth has played that will be missing once this shop closes. Boo hoo. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for a nuclear Nintendo take from Andy Robinson coming in the second half of the show. I've received a statement from him over text that will shake the foundations of not only this website, this earth. I'll play the next thing from Dan Houser. I mean, I want to see what this is. Dan Houser's a wacky fella, which is a fun way to describe alleged employee abuse. But he certainly knows how to get a game of a huge scale over the line. Ethan, do you think? My question for you, Ethan: how close does this come to something that we expect from Dan Houser? How GTA adjacent is this?
Well, I mean, my eyes glazed over at open world action adventure, because isn't that just game? You might as well just say game at that point.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be on the scale of a Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's Rockstar has 800 million people working there. Less now after the cuts, but I don't know. I mean, that really is the baseline kind of game, isn't it? I can't see what new thing he's going to be able to inject into that. Is it going to have watchtowers and stuff? Ubisoft style. Clear the map.
But is it going to try and be an American satire though? Like the reference, the title of one of their graphic novels we just said was an American caper. So are they going to have a blonde politician coming out and being like, I'm going to build a wall, and everyone's going to be like, ha, satire, very good, very droll.
That's Joe Biden.
Yeah. R.I.P.
God bless him.
God bless him.
Yeah, I mean, an American caper. I mean, that almost sounds fun, because that sort of suggests hijinks, doesn't it? Shenanigans. Yeah. We're all going to rob a bank wearing, balaclavas, and we've got all that money bags with dollar signs on them. It won't be that.
It sounds very close to an American Tale, 5 Goes West, and if it's anything like that, then I'm all for it. There's not enough open world action games starring cartoon mice.
Wait, okay, let's stop. Is there any? Because as the Ratatouille game is an open world, but as an action game, he plays Remy. He's not a mouse; he's a rat, famously. So I've bent the rules somewhat. Game start. Is it a Mickey Mouse open world game?
Epic Mickey.
Yeah, okay.
You've goosed yourself.
I was just asking questions. Somebody's got to ask questions. Come on.
You'll note I'm opening a can of Iron Brew Extra.
It's that kind of pod.
I need a drink, and I'm not going back to Elm Street. So
I like this Vimto energy. My eyes have started shaking, but it's just what I need. Next story. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy XVI, and Foam Stars all sold less than expected, says the Square Enix president. Square had their financial results this week, and things don't seem great. All their big titles underperformed, including Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which famously PlayStation console exclusive, got incredible reviews. Foam Stars kind of came and went. Andy Robinson's the world's #1 Foam Stars stan, and even him, I don't think he played it after it came out. And Final Fantasy 16, I liked that game, love Ben Starr dearly, but it didn't set my world on fire. It seems that the head honcho of Square is now going to try his best to get everything on everything. Chris,
Hello.
does FF7 and FF16 come to Xbox? Does PlayStation try to stop this with a little, here's a couple of £100 million, just don't do it?
I believe my guess, and that's all it is that they will not come to Xbox, because I would imagine whatever exclusivity deal they did with Sony would. I don't know how much that deal is in perpetuity. I don't know if they stay Sony exclusives forever other than PC. My guess would be that even it really comes down to, for me, whether the third game in the trilogy is multi-format or just PlayStation exclusive, depending on what the deal was, whether it was a 3-game deal or a game-by-game deal. I don't see them going back, and I'd love to be wrong, but I don't see them going back and putting the other ones, unless they do some sort of trilogy and put them on the next Switch, which I would be up for. But I don't see it happening like that. Same with Foam Stars, which is a shame, because I'm sure everyone is desperate to play Foam Stars just now.
I'm actually playing it right now, like on my screen at the side of the podcast.
That's why the eyes have glazed over.
Yeah, I just got a triple kill. It was great.
This whole story has been annoying me, because I've been involved in a lengthy Twitter DM argument with a random who got annoyed by us even reporting on this, because the original story was by the lovely Takashi Mochizuki from Bloomberg, who I trust well as a source. He works for Bloomberg, he knows his stuff, but people like to kind of pick apart anything he says, because a long time ago he quoted someone, and then the kind of official translation was changed. Which happens from time to time when you get a Q&A earnings report. People report on what is actually said, and then a couple of days down the line the company releases an official translation, and if they've said something that they might want to clarify or whatever, they'll tweak it a bit. So this has happened with Sony, did it recently when Sony's kind of boss at the time said that all the kind of loads of studios had to kind of sort things out, and then their official translation changed that specifically to Bungie, which was a bit interesting. So yeah, so the same happened here, and this particular chap, I won't name, got the wrong end of the stick with what Mr. Mochizuki reported, and he'd said that the Square Enix president, Takashi Kiryu, had said that his report said that the games all fell short of expectations, which was what by all accounts was said. This guy said, oh, wait a minute, he said these games met expectations, and he was referring to something that was said in October, like when those games originally came out. We're talking specifically 16 here. When Final Fantasy 16 came out,
7 wasn't out at that point.
No, but when 16 came out, it did meet expectations at launch. But then the arse fell out and it lost all momentum, and it's lost. It hasn't reached its 18-month expectations, which is what he said during the thing. But this guy doesn't get this, and the amount he says, so he's got to send me this big long DM thing where he basically said, the CEO said this, you can search this, there's no point for him to have lied. Takashi has a bias and is being a liar. You're an adult, you have no shame. I might say shame, but say shame. You really have no shame. And at that point I turned the conversation and said, you're right, I don't know anyone called Shane. And then he said, but he said, either way, you should have multiple sources, not just one. And I said, and what does this have to do with Shane? To see the other source. And this continued for far too long, in which I dragged this guy along, like asking about Shane, saying I've got no reason to doubt Shane. And then so that was my fun for the week.
Well, it's good you're using your time off effectively.
Yeah.
That's why we're moving the podcast.
This is how I know Chris and I are kindred spirits, and they'll be on podcasts together for the rest of our lives, because that is exactly how I would do that. Our approach to these wee dafties is completely in unison.
You ignore the my wee flowchart in my brain goes, does someone say journalist in quote marks? If so, it's an instant block. Does someone, if you move on, if they don't do that, does someone just give me abuse or whatever? If so, instant block. Does someone make a spelling mistake while they do it that can be exploited in a funny way? Continue.
Yeah.
And then that's how my brain works.
My opinion on this is, I think 16 will come to Xbox, because 16 is less of a big deal than the trilogy coming to Xbox. Especially because I think every Final Fantasy, I might be slightly wrong here. I think every Final Fantasy game apart from 7 Remake Trilogy and 16 is on Xbox. Like, I mind them doing those deals to get that going. Because I remember at one point they put like 11 Final Fantasy games on Game Pass like on one day. It was like 13 and all that pish. That's the subtitle. Final Fantasy 13 and all that pish. But I could see them doing 16. The only thing that would stop it would be like Sony. But I don't think if Square Enix went to Sony and they're like, we know you gave us a load of money to keep this exclusive, but it didn't do as well as we want, so we don't want it to be exclusive anymore. Sony would be like, and what's your fucking point? We already paid for it. Like, so
it's a weird one. It's one of those ones where it's purely guesswork because without seeing the contract, we don't know if they have to hit a certain target. At which point, if it hasn't sold X amount by X number of years, then we can make it multi-form. We don't know any of this. Certainly, it sounds like going forward after the Final Fantasy VII project is done, everything they do from now on, it sounds like they're not interested in multi-format deals, single format deals anymore.
17 will be on everything. The Final Fantasy IX remake will be on everything. Like, I wouldn't
as well.
worry
It should
about
be.
that.
It's the best one.
Worst one. Bring us 8, please.
Bring
back Squall.
Yes. Did you see that horrible AI trailer where they took away Squall's defining character feature? He no longer has a scar on his face. Good stuff. AI's the future.
I feel like Square Enix are constantly complaining about how their games fail to meet expectations. I feel like every single time a game comes out, it fails to meet expectations. I'm starting to think they should lower their expectations.
That's not how capitalism works, baby. Like, if you look
but
at
every time they bring out a game, the boss goes, well, I expect this game to sell 75 million copies. Then it comes out and does 8 million and he goes, what?
This is a huge disappointment. Once again, we have failed to meet.
The thing is, see if you cast the Square Enix stuff against Capcom, who are just having this golden period of like 11 years of profits and 7 years of like record results. Every year they're bringing out banger games. Resident Evil's firing on all cylinders, so is Monster Hunter. Like, we're getting to the point where people are like, yeah, remake the fucking random shite Resident Evils, why not? You'll probably make them brilliant now. Whereas Square Enix are like, we put fucking Cloud and Sephiroth in this and it didn't make any money. What are we going to do? We don't have anything. Is Foam Stars the answer?
I played Foam Stars for 20 minutes. That's how long I lasted on Foam Stars.
People cared more about Cloud and Sephiroth in Smash Brothers.
I think that's probably a fair shout. Have you seen that video of the boys at the Nintendo World Store when they announced Sephiroth? It's like fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back. They were jumping at the window.
Like, that to me is I've said this in the past on Twitter, that to me is the very summary of how we have devolved as a gaming community. Thanks to social media. It's like, you look at the old Nintendo, for those who don't know, every time Nintendo has a direct or something of that ilk in the old E3 shows, they were always shown at the Nintendo World Store in New York, and they would put them on a big screen and people would come and sit down at the screen and watch it and cheer during the announcements and stuff. So it was all very lovely to see and heartwarming to see people like who love this pastime getting excited. And it used to be, if you go back and look at old E3 ones from like 2008, 2009, 2010, they're all sitting cross-legged under the table like a kumbaya session. And every time something gets announced, they'll go, yeah, yeah, and throw their hands there, and it's lovely, it's wonderful. You fast forward to like a modern one, like a Smash Brothers announcement or something, and they're all standing on their feet. They're all swarming round like an angry mob, and every time something gets announced, they all turn the camera to their face. They're all filming it for a start. None of them were before, because before, like, one or two people would film it and they'd get all the traffic, and someone went, I can get traffic risk. Everyone's filming it. They've all got tripods and shit like that. And as soon as anything is announced, the second something appears on the screen, they turn away from the screen and point the camera at their own face and scream into it, because they're the show now, not what's being announced. What's the show now is them reacting to it. And it's like, go and take a running fuck to yourself and enjoy the games instead of making yourself the story, as I say this on a podcast in which we are the story.
Things are different now, aren't they, Grandad?
They are. They're all
never going back to the way it was in the 90s.
I remember when they brought Formula Zero to the Nintendo 64. I had never seen a frame rate in double figures.
You still can't on a modern Nintendo console. No. Way!
He's coming for everyone this week.
This guy's determined to make sure that this is our last podcast, full stop.
Last Thursday podcast.
The Christopher Reeve estate is already penning an email.
Using text-to-speech, presumably. Story number 3. Amazon has greenlit a Tomb Raider TV series. From
can I just level the playing field by saying God rest him, just for the avoidance of doubt.
The British actress, screenwriter, nepo baby, presumably Tory, who won an Emmy, Golden Globe, and BAFTA for her work on Fleabag.
There's a lot of editorialising going on in this.
I'm in a good mood, mate. Will serve as
Is
writer.
She a Tory?
I don't know. She speaks like one. She gives the vibes. She's got a double barrel second name, brother.
Ethan speaks like one though.
Yeah,
he seems above board.
Yeah, he's all right. He's one of the good ones, you know. He's not like them, you know. Yeah. But yeah, she's working on a Tomb Raider series, and no one's been cast. We don't see. When I saw this headline, I thought she was playing Lara Croft. Initially, I thought that's what the thing was, but she says, if I was going to do an impression, but I won't. If I could tell my teenage self that this was happening, I think she'd explode. Tomb Raider has been a huge part of my life, and I feel incredibly privileged to be bringing it to television with such passionate collaborators. Ethan, will they include bottles of Lucozade in this TV series? Because that's the only cultural remnant of Lara Croft I can remember.
Lara's Aid, I think you'll find.
Lara's Aid, absolutely. I mean, possibly. This is the time where I actually have to sort of reveal something that you guys may not have known about me. Which is that I have worked with Phoebe Waller-Bridge before.
There we go. There's the bombshell. Which Home Ministry was she on?
She was in Bad Education, wasn't she?
She was. She had a guest role in Bad Education.
As the bad educator.
I'm thinking series 2. I'm literally checking it right now.
She played some kind of like new age hippie kind of teacher character, because I saw that episode. How weird is this actually? When I was down in London for the VGC Christmas night out, got back to my hotel steaming, turned on the telly, Bad Education was on. It was that episode where Phoebe Waller-Bridge is playing like the new age hippie teacher. So Ethan,
series
can you
2,
confirm or deny?
episode 5. Series 2, episode 5. Drugs. If people want to go and watch that,
a high point.
Yeah. It's one of my favourites. I can remember absolutely what happened in it. But I do remember she did play like a new age hippie, like something along the lines of. She had a line that stuck in my head because of the way she pronounced Chiswick. I thought it was funny.
Did she say Chiswick?
And then about 5 years later, after that was shot, it was like, oh, hasn't she done well?
Did you speak to her? Is she nice?
I was going to say, yeah, was she nice enough?
Yeah, I think we all got on. It was a good day. I remember it being a good day. Like no one at the end of it was sort of like, Christ, that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was a hassle.
Did she make any suggestions to close the mines or anything like that?
How many homes does she have?
She's not just a Tory, she's a Thatcherite Tory as well.
That's the only Tory reference.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not a very political man.
Did she steal your milk?
Yeah, there was no milk that day. I think she's a good choice for this. I think she, the way she writes stuff, I think she's got that level of sort of lightheartedness and quippiness that would be good for something of this nature. I mean, Tomb Raider Lara Croft, it's a knockoff of Indiana Jones anyway.
Yeah.
So keep it quippy, keep it light. No need to make it too heavy.
That's the thing.
People enjoy it.
That's the thing. Like, it's all well and good in the games are serious. All the games have always been serious, and it's like, right, okay, like maybe too serious with the reboots. Like that woman goes through a lot, and it's like, it's fine for the purposes of a game because you're putting yourself in her shoes and you're saying, okay, well, let's get vengeance for all the times she's landed on a jaggy rock. But for something like this, where there has to be more entertainment and it's a one-way process instead of like an interactive one, then yeah, you need some light-hearted moments in there for what is, when you step back and look at it, Indiana Jones, like you say. And they attempted that before with the thingy with the movies with what's her face in them, Angelina Jolie. But in those, like the extent of the humour was putting Chris Barry in as her butler, and having her say bugger a lot. And it's like, well, bugger. It's like, well, that's not that funny. But yeah, so I think if she could provide the kind of the lightheartedness to make it a kind of Indiana Jones style, as long as she's not walking about winking at the screen and all that stuff, which I doubt she will be, then I think it's a good fit. I agree.
Yeah,
I'd
like to correct the record and formally apologise to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And as part of an interview with American Vogue, she said that she's proudly not a Tory. So we can confirm on VGC, the video game podcast, that she voted for Reform UK, and we're sorry for any misunderstanding that may have come from this podcast. I hold myself.
It's nice that
personally
people. It's nice to know that while we were discussing her suitability for the writing job on Tomb Raider, you were googling is Phoebe Waller-Bridge a Tory? Yeah. just to clarify.
That's how the magic's made. I don't know why I'm.
This is a news podcast.
Exactly. This is the only place you can get answers from a 2019 American Vogue interview. Come on now. The cutting edge of gaming news. Cutting edge of gaming news, which is the new podcast that we'll be launching soon, will return after these messages. And we are back. Sony says that Helldivers 2 is its fastest selling game launch ever, with sales far exceeding expectations at 12 million copies sold across PC and PS5 in the first 12 weeks. Chris, this blew my mind in the history of PlayStation.
What's going on? Like, I'll put cards on the table. I've not played it because I don't really do the online multiplayer things. So
and you hate PlayStation?
I'm famously, but I'm delighted for the people who are playing it and enjoying it. It does sound like they're doing live service multiplayer stuff right, and hopefully that means that other future games of its ilk will take lessons from it, and kind of so we get 400 games that play exactly the same way in the future. That I would love that. But yeah, of all PlayStation, nobody when they announced this, when they announced it, we didn't even. I don't think we even did a story on it at the time, because they first announced it during like a one of these presentations where there was loads of stuff coming, and that came up as I said, we'll get to it later. There's other stuff we'll get to it. So we didn't even when it was announced, we were like, oh, Helldivers 2. It was just like we'll get to Helldivers 2 when we get a free minute. And now it's become like the fastest selling game ever, which nobody would have put money on that.
All of PlayStation. Obviously, the caveat, I believe this is games that they published, obviously, because your GTAs obviously beat that kind of stuff. But that includes Gran Turismo, which in the PS2 era was like one of the biggest franchises in the world. It includes TLU 2. It includes, as we say in the story, God of War Ragnarok got 11 million.
Did you just say Tilu instead of The Last of Us?
That's what people call it, Tilu.
What people?
All people.
the people that like dance on the graves of former Supermen.
I've not got time to say The Last of Us Part 2 every time. It's Tilu 2, come on. Michael Barclay, good Dundonian boy that worked on that game, he says Tilu 2.
Does he? Well, in that case, I'm definitely not.
But as we say,
if he told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it?
I know, with gusto, mate. With gusto. Gusto's his pal.
Gustavo Santaolalla, who's the composer on The Last of Us, or sorry, on Tilu. It also beat the 11 million copies in 10 weeks sold by Gau Ragnarok. So, I mean, that's a pretty significant...
Right, so you'll do Ragnarok. You won't do Gaur.
I know, he won't do Gaur.
Come on, it's Gau Ragnarok. Everyone knows that.
The last time I can remember pronouncing something like that and feeling like a diddy, but doing it anyway, was Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare when the 360 came out, and everyone on my wee kind of that was when I first dabbled with voice chat, and we were all playing like the launch games, and that was the first big kind of 360 multiplayer game that came out at post-launch. And everyone was saying, "Are you going to buy Gwar or what was it? Ghost Recon Graw? Are you going to buy Graw?
Graw, come on!" And then they called. I think the sequel was literally called Tom Clancy's Graw 2 because it got adopted.
Called it Graw. I don't usually like that sort of thing. I think it's very crass.
Yeah. Your Graw.
Someone put a lot of effort into naming these things, and people are just like, just cutting the legs off them. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
There is-
Jordan.
There is 59.3 million. Oh, I mean, before we talk about how many PlayStations, obviously this is helped by the fact that it's on Steam. It's also £40.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
And it's
That's the only
it's
reason.
hyper viral. Yeah.
Absolutely.
that-
Like the concurrent launch is what did it.
Yeah,
Because like Clue 2 and like all of the other bollocks, they only got their PC ports a lot later.
Yeah. If they put Gran Turismo or Git, as I call it, on Steam on day one, then that
They
would have
put Gut on
outsold it.
S.
Yeah. Come on. It works. We know what we're talking about here. I think obviously they've said for the future stuff, all the live service stuff is coming to Steam at the same time. Correct decision. I do not think this means that Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes to Steam day one. I don't think this means that GAU 3 comes to Steam day one. I still think because they need to have a reason for people to buy a PlayStation. They need a reason to say like, okay, the Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out Christmas 2025. That's true, by the way. Buy it on PlayStation in the November, and then it'll come to Steam in February where no one cares. Chris, do you think that sounds about right? Because Sony loves their wanky prestige stuff. Like
that's a point. Like they have to. They're dancing a very delicate line here, much like any time you cite a former Superman. They need to be careful what they're doing because one of the big things that PlayStation fans love is pointing at how they have the exclusives and how we're the only place where you can get these third-person action adventure games, which is the only genre they seem to do. But if you release them on PC on the same day, it loses a bit of that, especially because that's something that the hardcore fanboys have been slagging Xbox off for so many years now. Oh, you get your games on PC on the same day, then that's not really an exclusive. But from a financial point of view, it makes sense. If they're looking, I appreciate that Helldivers is a live service game and it's a different situation. But if you can, if the number of PC gamers is so large out there that you've got to wonder at what point do they say, look, we're daft not taking advantage of this on launch day, because you would imagine that fewer people will buy a PS5 game 6 months down the line at 60 quid on PC. But they'll be far more likely to buy it at 60 quid on day one on PC, because there's that feeling that, well, this is a 6-month-old game, I should be paying less for this now. I imagine that there'll come a point where they just start saying, okay, everyone's on PC now.
It's the way things are going, isn't it? Like, there's a shift going on right now, and we're seeing it across the board. And I don't know how much longer it's going to last.
Xbox has done it first because it needs to. You would imagine at this point. So, but yeah, I don't see it being. Nintendo seems to be the only one who won't be affected by this because they've always
they just do their own thing.
They've always done their own thing. They're making more money than most countries at this point. So they don't care. They're happy to just do what they're doing. But in terms of PlayStation, and everyone else is like Square Enix is obviously now doing it. Anyone who's making obscenely expensive games and realizing that they're not getting the money back on them, and people aren't buying into live service as much as they thought, because it turns out people only have so many hours a day, and you can only juggle so many live service games at a time, and they're not all going to make fortunes. Not every game's going to get whales that'll throw all the money back at you and recoup your development costs. I don't see live service dying out anytime soon, but I can see the budgets going down or the games going multi-platform or both. Pronto, which is my friend.
Well said. Okay, I asked the VGC maniacs what reviews that they were convinced reviewers got wrong. Also bonus points if it was a game that Scully or I reviewed. So let me bring them to the table. First of all, Chris, I've been asked to ask you how on earth you gave the first Red Steel a 91, apparently, in a magazine.
I believe it was a 90, but I'm not going to quibble over 1%. Look, here's the thing, right?
Sit back, Ethan. We've got fucking 10 minutes to go.
No. This will be quick. This will be brief. I think what people fail to realize is that when you're reviewing a game, you're reviewing it in a vacuum. You have no You've no way of telling how other people are feeling about the game nowadays. Some people get involved in kind of WhatsApp groups and that. I don't really like doing that. I don't like to discuss games while they're being reviewed because I don't like being influenced by it. When Red Steel came out, that was one of the very first. It might have been the first third-party Wii game I ever reviewed. At that point, obviously the Wii wasn't out yet, so we had to go to studios, each developer studio, to play that game there. So I went to where Red Steel? It was somewhere in the UK though. It wasn't. I didn't go to America to play it, but wherever it was, they had a debug Wii set up with a copy of the game, and played through it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything worked like it was supposed to. It had this really weird kind of, for those who didn't play the first Red Steel, it had this weird aiming mechanic where if you pointed the Wii remote at the screen, that was how you aimed, like you would use accelerometers. But if you moved the remote towards the screen, it would zoom in. And if you pulled it back, it would zoom out. So like a sniper type situation, you would push it forward towards the screen and that would zoom in. It was really clever gimmick and it worked really well when I played it. Completed the game, no issues. Thought this is really good. It wasn't as over the top as it was in the first trailer that came out, which had you like pointing the sword next to the guy's neck and like threatening him and all that, and that never happened in the game. But what was there, I really enjoyed. Fast forward to a month or two down the line, the Wii comes out, the game comes out, and people start reporting bugs left, right, and centre, saying this bit's broken, that bit's broken. I'm like, well, I can't report on things that didn't happen to me. Like it wasn't buggy when I played through it from start to finish. People saying that the aiming didn't work for them, even though it worked for me. Now I don't know if the situation was that for some reason something went wrong between debug review code and the final code. I don't know if because the Wii was such a new device, people were putting their sensor bars up in weird places with lights around them that the remote was picking up. I don't know what it was that led to, but I played it again recently and still enjoyed it, Red Steel. So I kind of stand by that one. It's just one of those games that I just, for whatever reason, dug, as the kids say, and others didn't. So yeah, I'll that's one that I won't retract.
Okay. Jack EG says, I'm usually on the quote reviewers can't be wrong because it's an opinion boat, but then I went to your Open Critic pages and saw you weren't positive on Plague Tale Requiem and I got sad. I think saying that I wasn't positive on it is quite generous. Here is the conclusion to my Plague Tale Requiem review, which I gave 2 out of 5. A Plague Tale Requiem is a sometimes compelling adventure weighed down by poor technical performance, correct. Simple and frustrating repetitive gameplay, correct. While the stealth action can be enjoyable and the puzzle elements using the impressive hordes of rats to your advantage can be engaging, is a game that introduces compelling ideas but never really capitalizes on any of them. Pair that with some dodgy AI, the wee boy who you were taking with you would just jolt around, like fly across the map. He was like Tails. And it's a game that is that's at its best when the characters are simply walking through the world, talking to each other. That's completely accurate. The only thing I would maybe not reflect you playing the game now, and this is always the case with reviews, they've probably fixed the technical stuff. But like Chris says, we review the game they give us. If a game is a buggy mess, it's not our fault. It is their fault. They provided us with a review code that has those bugs. We didn't.
This is the thing,
I'm not punching fuck out my Xbox to try and make it buggy.
And this is the thing when people also, when you know what happens when a game comes out and it turns out there are bugs in it. Usually 1 or 2 key bugs will be recorded by someone, and then that'll become the viral bug that everyone shares around saying, "Look, see, proof." And it's like they don't realize that when we review a game, that is one person playing through the game once. When a game then comes out, there are millions of people playing through it millions of times, and so the likelihood that bugs will appear rockets up like astronomically. Like if we don't encounter a bug from start to finish, that doesn't mean the game's not a buggy mess. It just means, well, we played through it fine. I'm not then going to play through a game another 30 times in the hope that just to see if a bug appears. So it's that kind of, when you expand the test environment, and then suddenly people are replaying it millions of times, you're getting millions of different playthroughs of the same game, then the situation's going to change. And at that point, you can't then point back at the original review and say, why didn't you report on this? Well, because we didn't see it. It's
This
just
was
We are not
supposed to be a
QA.
fun segment where we share stuff with the audience. And
no,
it's
I
turned
get
really
massively,
tense
I
and
get massively
defensive.
defensive. But because
The atmosphere on this video call is frozen.
It
It's
was-
icy.
it was worse on the official Nintendo magazine days when I had children like berating me on through email every single day, and it was like proper like child level arguments. It was like, why did you give Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney
Was it Andy?
83%? It was 83%. This is, I really like this game. I think it should be worth at least 84. And I'm like, okay, mate, for the sake of a percent, not your sell it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's the one thing that annoys me because it's someone's opinion, and it's.
Well, it's good job running this podcast in a bad mood. I think that's the.
I'm in a great mood.
I'm delighted. Oh, listen, top of the league.
Yeah.
Like,
Champions again, ole ole.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
go. Hang on, I wrote this down somewhere. Go Celtic. Yeah.
The Celtics.
Yes. The Celtic. A few
Did I ever
more.
tell you
A few
about-
more.
Did I ever tell you about when was at a football game with Robert Duvall? Star of The Godfather.
I think you've told this story on this podcast 3
Oh, have
times
I?
at this point.
Oh, never mind. Then we'll leave it. We'll leave it. You can dig up the old one, put that in the TikTok.
Listen to all the episodes to find out where it is.
Oh God! As soon as you started that, I was like, if he says Robert Duvall, I'm ending it.
Oh well, all right. Well, I'll give James Caan a shout and see if he fancies going to go and see Partick Thistle. Get a new story for you.
Do you know I once worked with Elon Musk's ex-wife?
Oh, what's her
Which one?
face?
Tallulah
Tallulah Riley. Yeah.
Yeah.
On what? Were you in the
Bad
Lion, the Witch, and
Education, the
Wardrobe?
movie. A highlight
really?
of all of
The
us, I
movie
think.
or
Yeah.
Ah,
bigger, longer, uncut.
yeah. What was the Cannes reception to that? How long was the standing ovation for that one?
It's
not
it went
finished.
to little notice. I won't lie.
They're actually still applauding it to this day. They just left after a while.
Did you get to keep that bowl cut, or is that sitting in a props department somewhere?
That was real hair. That was my hair.
No, it fucking wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Oh
I
my
can prove
God!
it as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to go?
I'll send you a picture later.
and then it just appears out of your head. That is incredible. You have some very
That's
nice
commitment is
looking
what that
hair.
is.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. Oh, actor commitment. Oh, he cut his
Imagine
hair.
imagine having to live like that. Because you were only just doing bad education the entire time. You still had a bowl cut and shoot life, surely.
Yeah, I was at university. 7 weeks of bowl cut.
Wow.
And then series 3, I had it all shaved off, didn't I? I was like you,
Yeah. That's
walking around with a cold head.
I wish this was shaved. I wish this was an elective choice. This is what the energy drinks do to you.
Pure genetics.
A few more. People are saying that my review of Gotham Knights was too positive on reflection. Maybe a bit too positive, but we don't do half stars, and I liked it enough to round up.
Can I just offer a bit of searing commentary, which is more like Gotham Shites. There we go.
Got him.
Sorry,
Send that one to the morgue, straight to the morgue.
Hey, Chris, could we get that one again? I think this is going to be a really viral TikTok clip. I think this might actually get maybe 1 or 2 billion views. So could we just all
right,
Ethan, if me and you could be quiet and just give him this chance to do this.
We'll just get a drink. Let me just take a drink first.
Okay, I'll set it up again. So people have been saying that my Gotham Knights review was a bit.
Can I just interrupt you there for a minute, Jordan? I'd like to say something about Gotham Knights.
Yes.
It's come to my attention that the word "knights" sounds a lot like the word "shites." So I proffer the alternative title of Gotham Knights to you and see if that's perhaps a more suitable description of the game. Heavy hit after heavy hit after heavy hit. Oh, you can't do Tim Westwood impressions anymore, can you not?
There you go, John. Is that viral enough for you? To the moon!
Oh, there we go.
Let's see if you can beat my sad boy TikTok.
Yeah.
Me
Sorry,
weeping
mate.
in front of an iPad.
Okay, God, what a show, what a life. Chris, you play any of that 2K24 DLC yet? Is it working on
Nice.
Xbox?
It's all right.
Yeah?
It's working now on Xbox, but they didn't make it easy. Like they basically all the ECW guys were just added to the list.
All the
pages, it says,
ECW guys.
Everyone,
Balls Mahoney.
New Jack's in it. Jerry Lynn. You have to actually open up the list of DLC, and then the ECW pack is there unchecked, and you have to check it, and then it installs. Oh, thanks very much for the heads up. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. Just to be honest, my brain's been really sore this week. I've reviewed Paper Trail, which is like a really difficult puzzle game. And then I played Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which is a really difficult adventure game. And so at that point, I was just like, just give me some wrestling. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's good to get more my faction cards.
We would be remiss if I didn't address this. I posted a tweet replying to someone positing that Days Gone is the most bloated first-party IP. Our chief executive officer, chairman of the board, Andy Robinson, posited that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the most bloated first-party IP. People want his head for this, so I've got a prepared statement from Andy Robinson. This is VGC chief Andy Robinson on the subject of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I quote, "Anime does not belong on Nintendo, and you should all go away. Thank you."
And now again, but with the impression.
Oh, what, mate? Anime does not belong on Nintendo, and you should all do one.
Ammers! I've never met Andy. I should stop being rude to him.
Come to the Christmas night out next year. It's you don't have to be employed by VGC. People just turn up. I mean, Ben Starr, Chris Dringen, stars of this podcast just appear.
We know that you invited Ben Starr.
If you turn up,
come to the party, Ben. I loved Final Fantasy 16.
If you turn up to the next Christmas party,
I gave it a 4.
See, if you come to the Christmas party dressed up as one of Andy's old primary school teachers, we can maybe try and recreate that Ian Wright clip. That'd be done.
That's going to require a lot of research.
He is defo's dead now. You've got to imagine.
Which one?
Not Ian Wright, the clip? Teacher, obviously.
I know.
God rest him.
God presumably rest him.
Yeah. Unless he's 120, presumably God rest him.
He didn't look that old.
He famously thought he was dead.
I know, but then he looked a lot better than that. But
a lot better than dead.
But what's it the old boy says? He says something like, "I thought he was dead." And he turns around and goes, "Thought I was dead," he says. Or something like that. He says some sort of quip.
The teacher's name was Sidney Pigeon.
Mr. Pigeon. That's right. He turns around and goes, he's laughing away, laughing and joking, turns around and says, "Mr. Pigeon, I thought you was dead." And he goes, "He thought I was dead," he says. Or something like that. He says something like that. Some sort of quip. Oh, God rest him. That was only a couple of years ago. I'm sure he's alive.
That clip is about 25 years old at this point. Let me point you to the militaryhistory.fandom.com. Sidney Charles Pigeon, born April 25th, 1922, died
He's still kicking
December
a ball.
27th, 2017. He was a Royal Air Force pilot and PE teacher. It says here in 1999 he faked his own death. No, but Sidney Pigeon, God rest him. Ian Wright still kicking a ball. Ian Wright
never kicked a ball.
Everybody on this podcast.
Listen,
so.
He never kicked a ball for Celtic when he was with us.
Oh, speaking of Celtic, I walked past John Barnes at the weekend and it took everything in my body to get arrested for it. But anyway,
him. Tell you what John Barnes was capable of, and that is kicking a Lucozade sport bottle right into a bin, which he did with like an amazing accuracy in a TV commercial back in the day.
Yeah,
you Lucozade sport, it gets your thirst fast. That's how he said it.
That was actually, you know what? Halfway through that impression, I was going to really come down hard on you for not for the first time, but towards the end, I thought that's actually not bad.
It's not the best John Barnes impression, but I mean,
yeah, it's the best John Barnes impression you will get on this podcast, mainly for legal reasons. Ethan, anything else this week from you?
I'm playing Dave the Diver. That's quite good.
It's good. I played that on for like 6 hours on a flight once, but I've not went back to it. How far are you into it?
Just started chapter 4.
Oh, right. Okay, you're
I'm going to sort of I'll dance around it so there's no spoilers. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the loop It is mainly just a loop. It's good fun. I like it.
Yeah. You played Balatro?
Everyone watch my sad boy TikTok.
Yeah, get on his TikTok. Come on. You play Balatro?
I haven't played it yet, but I will.
Chris, you played that Balatro?
Of course I haven't.
Chris,
I've got a life to live.
Get Balatro for the plane to
issue.
Japan. Get Balatro for the plane to Japan. It will fly in, as planes often do.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
No, because it won't just be the duration of a plane trip, will it? That'll be it. It'll have its teeth sunk in for the whole of
your books will be done. Yeah.
Yeah,
the books will be over. The life will be over.
Books. I prefer writing books.
What a nerd.
Oh, another thing. I've got the thing to mention. Last time I was on, I said that I was going to make an appearance at a local wrestling promotion.
Yes.
Yeah, I won the belt, didn't I? I became a champion for a little while.
Well, did you?
He won the strap. He's been
Which-
crowned by the moon.
Which title was it? What were you?
It was the CXW Extreme Champion, defended 24/7, a la WWF hardcore.
Oh no,
style.
hold on a minute here. So how long did you have it for then before you?
1
lost?
minute and 58
There
seconds.
we go. There it is.
Mr.
Took a bump.
58 seconds, they call him.
But the point I'm making, the thing I'm driving towards, is that on June the 1st, we're back in Braintree. If you want to come and watch CXW, I will be there. Ethan Lawrence addresses his enemies.
I found that the best title reigns are the ones that can be posted in their entirety on Twitter.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
It was a pretty messy match, I'll be honest with you. The belt changed hands 4 times.
Were you champion for longer than Drew McIntyre was champion at WrestleMania?
We'll have to check the timings on that. We'll have to get the
It
stopwatch
was
out.
at least 5 minutes or something. I think it was.
That's a shame. Unlucky. Okay.
I managed to squeeze in a little promo. That's the main thing.
Yeah. You bloody better. Well, those acting chopperoos. Anyway.
He took the mic with the belt around his waist and says, "Listen, I'd like to tell you something about the state of the acting industry."
Ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't quite sure how to address this, but I figured I'd just do it unvarnished, unedited.
Now that I have you here.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking.
Oh, man. Silly chaps. Okay, let's get out of here. As we mentioned earlier, VGC the Video Game Podcast will now come to you on a Friday starting next week. That's Friday starting next week. Until then, you can send your questions, comments, and concerns to podcast@videogameschronicle.com. Thank you for listening. You can follow me at Jordan Midler on Twitter, Chris at Scully1888. Ethan, what is your current Twitter handle if you're using it?
Ethan D. Lawrence, and that's everywhere, including TikTok, where I'm sad.
TikTok, as Kesha once sang. We'd like to thank the great Grant Kirkhope for the VGC podcast theme. Sorry for the things we have said associated with his name. He deserves better.
Speaking of sorry for the things we've said, can I just clarify that people should, if they haven't, check out Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, because the man's performances in those are nothing short of breathtaking. And they're worth a look.
Oh, and he's in Smallville as well. He got around.
He was shiting that.
Went out on a low note, just like this podcast. Until next week, say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Say goodbye, Ethan.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next Friday. I'm on this.
Ooh!